Well, hello everybody, so welcome to another Behind the Theme. Today we'll be talking about command and colors again, but today we'll be focusing on the Phalangites, or rather the Macedonian Phalanx. So, today's theme is, of course, like I said, on the Macedonian Phalanx, and how it ties into command and colors, I really like this, is the fact that the Hoplite, the Greek Hoplite, is a medium unit, it's a blue unit, and a Phalangite, or a Macedonian Phalanx soldier, is a red unit. And the red unit, if anybody doesn't know, is a unit that does more damage. It's heavy infantry, whereas the medium can be from hoplites to immortals of the Persian army, for example, and so on. Alright, and that actually makes thematic sense because Macedonian phalanx troops actually are much more deadly on the offense. They actually do more damage than the troops of the Hoplite. So why did the Phalangite become so successful over the Hoplite, or rather a more offensive version of him, and a better version, so, as I believe it to be? The reason is the innovations that came about: the lighter armor and the longer weapon, basically the more offensive weapon. The idea, amazing, does not come from Philip II. The ideas, of course, was a gradual change of tactics from the standard Greek phalanx, and it was improved upon from Theban model, right, even more further by Epaminondas of Thebes and Hippocrates of Athens, of which Philip II learned from them and took that same ideas and transferred to his army and improved it into his version, which became the Macedonian phalanx, really. On top of that, he made his army full-time. He paid his army fully, and he trained them in, and all they did was fight. So they were full-time troops. They didn't have to go back to farm and all that. All their concentration was to be a good soldier, and they were rewarded as such. Between the fight between arms and armor, the big change that came with this was lighter armor, which instead of the bronze full cuirass and all of that, everything was changed. Everything was lightened to thickened linen, all right, and a 16-foot, or ranging between 13 to 23 feet, pike, basically, which the Macedonians called the Sarissa, all right, and it does not actually come in one long piece. It actually is two pieces fitted in between with a bronze piece in the middle to make it easier for transport, all right, with a top head of a spear point, and at the bottom there's a butt spike, which can be used if some argue whether it's a counterweight. Maybe it is, but at the same time, if the top half breaks, you could use the butt spike still to fight. So that's that too. And so you see that the change is on lighter armor, and the reason was because Epaminondas and Hippocrates found that the lighter troops were actually, with changes in tactics and everything, were beating heavily armored troops all the time, because naturally, it doesn't matter if it takes all day, if a lighter troop keeps killing you in a war of attrition and you can't kill a single one of them, as it's Specteria with the Spartans losing over just light troops fighting them, then they're gonna win anyway. So they needed the troops to become more mobile, so they gave them lighter armor but more offensive capability. Now, of course, the Macedonian phalanx was still severely hampered and unmaneuverable to a large extent. And on a quick note, this is actually an amazing fact that I learned over the years. The Macedonian Sarissa is, again, ranging by several historians onto the length. We don't have an original that we have found, but I'm going to just say 16 feet. I always remember it from my history books as 16 feet. The Sarissa is extremely long, alright, and 60 feet. And when they start shaking it, as you see from Oliver Stone's movie, it actually makes a whirling sound, and that would, I think I read one historical reference where they said it scared the enemy, but I've not read any more on that. But it's an interesting fact. On top of that, if you see the formation of how the Sarissas were held, it actually adds protection to the unit. Why? Because you see, several of the pikes are in a layered level, and so arrows coming in, and remember, because they're more lightly armored, this actually matters. When arrows came in, because they're going through so many spikes, it would hit one of the Sarissas and it would just spin and lose its energy, meaning it would just fall on you. Unless you're severely unlucky, you probably won't get hit by as many arrows as with the Greek phalanx. And one of the things I asked before was, why was it the Sarissa? Because at the back of the Sarissa, it's a two-piece. At the back, they actually had a butt spike, which is just a spike basically. And I asked before, why didn't they just put a second, Sarissa head at the back? And what I was told, it made sense again, is when you're holding a pike that long like that, you see, the point pointing back, if you had a broad spearhead, it will cut your own troops, whereas the butt spike, with how they were trained, they could just avoid it much more easily. And the last thing is, in command colors, the Hoplite, which is the medium unit, and the heavy infantry both move at one space. And they both can advance, but they can't bonus attack without a leader in there. And that actually, to me, is really cool, because although the Macedonian Phalanx was lighter armored, they weren't much more maneuverable than the standard Greek Hoplite on the battlefield, that is. And that made a lot of sense, because, like an example, when the Romans fought the Macedonians at Sinocapoli, when that unnamed tribune brought his troops to the back of the army to attack, alright, it was said that people argued, why is it the Macedonians didn't just turn around to fight them? And the problem is, of course, you can imagine that you're holding a 16-foot pike that long. To turn was extremely unwieldy, and you had to turn as a group, because you're trained. And again, like I talked in another video, in the last video, you don't want to be the guy that everybody looks at as the coward who broke ranks, because your peers are around you, so you stand your ground and like, guys, are we turning? And so it took a long time, because you can imagine, if one person started just swinging, it would hit the other Sarissas, and that could cause all kinds of damage. If some people did one thing and other people did one thing in a group formation that mattered, that you stuck together, the Phalanx is incredibly famous for people just breaking ranks and everything just goes all to hell. Macedonian Phalanx troops could not defend themselves. They literally had to stand there and get stabbed, basically, until they ran away. So it was an extremely unmaneuverable formation, but when they were on the attack, they were quite amazing. It said when lowered, for every troop facing a Macedonian Phalanx, they had 10 spear points facing them. 10. Alright. And this one I am extremely skeptical about, but it was said that they were so effective that the way Phalanx, so the Macedonians, had to keep moving was to actually push people off their Sarissas with their feet. I'm skeptical of this because, by the time that happened, remember the 16-foot pikes extending, by the time if a body gets that close, even you push, how far can you push it, right? And so I think that's exaggeration personally. Okay, so I'm no super expert on the topic, but I'm skeptical on that point. But in conclusion, command colors truly makes the Macedonian Phalanx feel like the Macedonian Phalanx comparatively to the Greek troops. I think it was an amazing idea. I mean, you could have easily have made the Greek Hoplites also red troops, but the division really gives it so much more theme for a historical perspective, and I truly think it's a good game and still extremely thematic, and I hope you learned something today. So thank you very much. Till next word.